You gave me some good insight on following my highest joy,
Yes.
how to consistently do that. You mentioned something that caught my attention.
Yes.
Well, several things, but you mentioned contracts. Contracts with
Yes.
other individuals.
Yes.
And how they affect outcomes. Specifically,
how you all participate in an orchestration is what we're saying.
That's it. So, how much influence do I have in those contracts with other people?
Depends on what you mean by influence. In the way that most people on your planet use that word, you have none. However, in having an agreement and an orchestration, because others have also agreed to allow you to experience influence and allow themselves to experience the influence of you, that they are creating for themselves, even as you are creating influence within your own reality, then you have every kind of influence. But it's again by agreement. Influence in no way, shape, or form implies that it is without the idea of matching frequencies through agreement.
Okay, got it. The frequencies that I give off or give out,
yes,
are those changing?
Always.
And do I have control over that?
Well, in a sense you do, but it's not like you have to actually control the number. The idea is to simply follow the formula and it will automatically adjust, because remember, one of the tools in the kit is the organizing principle of synchronicity.
Right.
Therefore, by simply following the formula, the frequency is automatically adjusted to meet the occasion.
Okay.
Why would it be otherwise?
Right.
If it had to be otherwise, it wouldn't be a complete kit, would it?
No.
It wouldn't be an automatic guidance system, would it?
No.
So that makes sense, yes?
Yes, it does.
All right. You have to realize these things need to be looked at holistically.
Right.
Not as pieces that you're attempting to engineer into place.
Okay. And my other question is, how much of this could I see from the beginning of my incarnation, from my soul?
It depends. Yeah. Depends on your theme.
Okay.
Some individuals may need some foresight about certain things. Most individuals don't need anything. As long as they follow the idea of their truth, then everything will unfold as it should, whether they see it or not.
Okay.
So it just depends on the person.
Okay. And my last question is, how much can you see of our
That
experience?
also depends on the contracts and the agreements. We, in communicating with all of you, will impose upon our consciousness sort of a filter system. We have to come through the idea of your collective consciousness, your archetypal consciousness, your higher minds, and in a sense, we need to have permission to tell you what it is that we're telling you. So what we do is we place filters on our consciousness so that if there is some information that would somehow intervene or disrupt your theme, tell you something that you're not supposed to know right now by your own choice, then we simply won't have access to that information. It'll just be blank. When we detach from this experience and go back to our reality, we may know far more than we know when we're coming through this connection.
Okay.
But coming through this connection, it is tempered by what it is that actually serves you best, not the idea of knowing everything, which would then perhaps allow us to say something that wouldn't necessarily serve you.
I see.
Does that help?
It does.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Yes?
What would you suggest I do throughout my day as I'm taking care of things at work with other people in contract that don't feel good?
Well, first and foremost, you always have to make sure that if something doesn't feel correct for you, you have to make sure through honest self-investigation as to whether or not it is truly not your excitement, or whether some belief system within you is dampening the excitement that could be there. Once you are clear that you're not the one dampening the excitement, then you can recognize that it may truly not be your preference, and you can make choices and decisions to do the things that are at whatever pace you're comfortable with. But you have to honor your belief system, because if you have a belief system that says leaving the thing you're doing, even if it's not your excitement, is the only thing you believe will really support you in life, then it won't really do you any service to leave it until you yourself are certain by testing it out, by giving yourself a chance to act on your excitement and letting it prove to you it can support you at whatever rate you're comfortable with, then you can make the shift in a way that works for you. Does that make sense?
It does.
Does that help?
It does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Andrew, you good day.
I'm wondering what role what role the plant medicines like ayahuasca, magic mushrooms, iboga have in the evolution of human consciousness.
The idea is that they are teachers given to you by the earth to help you get familiar with the concept of being in altered states that allow you to see and experience more of your consciousness on higher dimensional levels. But the idea of the teachers is to give you a chance to practice what that state of being feels like, so that eventually you can create that state of being yourself without the teachers. And that plays a very important part in your evolution of, in a sense, upgrading your frequency.
Would you recommend ingesting some plant medicines?
I don't recommend anything. If it's your path and your true excitement, and it is a natural teacher of the earth, then by all means follow your path. But the idea, again, is to pay attention to the moment when the teacher is letting you know that you don't necessarily need the teacher anymore. Now, the idea of creating the state on your own, which you're doing in a sense anyway, is that if you go beyond that and believe that you still need the teacher, then the teacher has become a crutch. And then you start devolving instead of evolving. But the idea is that when you create the vibration yourself, it may not necessarily feel the same way that it did when you actually were utilizing the teacher itself, the plant medicine itself. But that doesn't matter, because you will be different, and therefore the state of being will feel different. And it will be for the purpose that you are applying it, so the situation will make a difference as well as to how you feel that vibration. But here's the secret. Remember the principle of physics. You cannot experience something you're not the vibration of first. Do you understand that concept before we continue?
Yes.
All right. So, anytime that you remember having an experience of those altered states, you are having an experience of that altered state. It, again, may not feel identical. But here's the deeper secret. Because you cannot experience something that you are not the frequency of first, the trick is you can't even have the memory of having had the experience of an altered state unless you're in the altered state first in order to have the memory. That's the trick. So as soon as you remember having been in the altered state, you're in the altered state already in order to have had the memory of having been in an altered state. Do you understand what we're saying?
Yes.
So then you can learn that you have the ability to do that yourself and act in your life on your passion from that state, because what you have discovered in your experience with the teachers eventually, assumingly, is the altered state or series of altered states that represents your particular signature frequency in any given situation. And when you align with that signature frequency of your true self and act from that state, then you are truly in alignment with the flow of the cosmos, of existence. Yes?
Yes.
So, does that answer your question?
It does. Yes, it was really good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else?
I was going to ask if what I said about recommending, but like you said, you don't recommend anything.
Well, no, because everyone is different.
Well, just for the 13th.
Well, that's up to you.
Do you think plant medicines would help?
That's up to you.
Okay.
Completely, totally up to you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
We are so honored to have you here, so thank you for your wisdom.
And we are deeply appreciative of your co-creation of this interaction.
So I actually practice healing here in Los Angeles.
All right.
And use a number of modalities. And
Yes.
I'm wondering what the best modality might be, in your opinion,
The best?
to continue anchoring in new energy for the ascension and new earth. Is there a certain line of codes or modality that we can integrate into our own practices here?
Absolutely. The one that works best for you.
I thought you might say that.
Well, how psychic of you. You do understand, of course, just to check, that a healer never heals anyone directly.
Yes.
You set up a vibrational frequency that if the person requiring the healing chooses to match, then they will heal themselves. That's how it works. So whatever modality, which is another way of saying whatever permission slip you're attracted to use, to give yourself permission to be more of yourself, is entirely based on what you're attracted to use. And if you're attracted to use it, that's your first clue that at that particular moment, at least, that's the best modality for you at that moment. When you change, the modality may change because that one may be the best one for who you are now in that moment. And it may fluctuate. And that's okay. Follow the fluctuations. That overall is the best modality, is to follow the fluctuations in the modalities you're attracted to. Because it's telling you you're changing, and now this one is more in alignment with your belief system than the one you were using a moment ago. So now use this tool. Now use this tool. Now use this tool. They're all permission slips. Doesn't matter which one you're attracted to. If you're attracted, that means it'll work for you at that particular moment. That's why you're attracted to it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank
Is it
you.
answering your question?
Well, mostly. I was actually thinking,
Yes.
when I thought of that question, that if there's another healing modality that is used outside of our earth right now that might be
Oh, well,
integrate.
yes, of course. Of course, you know that you are heading toward the idea of using frequencies, resonances, and things like that. And many, many cultures use that. But yes, there are many forms. Now, some of the different forms are not anything that you could actually do because they are, in a sense, shall we say, lined up with the particular alien species that is using them, that you don't exactly have the same attributes. You understand?
What
They have
attributes
different
do we need?
attributes than you may have. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Do you want further clarification?
Yeah.
All right. I'll give you an example of what we're talking about. There are certain alien cultures that can actually manipulate electromagnetic and gravitic waves. Therefore, they can actually create a complex structure, in a sense, a vibrational structure of gravity that will allow someone in that gravitational bubble to allow themselves to go back into their natural state more easily. So it acts kind of as a lubricant for them, gravitationally speaking. But they have sensors to be able to pick up on those gravity vibrations, those gravitational waves that you don't have. So it's a healing modality of a particular culture that you're not necessarily able to duplicate because you don't have the mechanisms in your body to do exactly what they're doing. Now, does that make more sense?
Are there any mechanisms that we have access to that might be heading in that direction that we can incorporate now?
Absolutely. One of the things that will come up, even though it might be somewhat specialized in your future, as we see now what is likely and probable in the energy that exists right now that we're sensing, that may come to fruition, is each and every one of you have a substance in your sinus cavities called magnetite that is responsible for the idea of allowing you to have a sense of direction by following the magnetic field lines of your planet. You understand? It's how many animals navigate. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
All right. You can actually amplify the use of that magnetite in a very specific way, sort of similarly to what we were talking about the beings that use gravitational waves, but you can be using the idea of the magnetic field of your planet by allowing a vibration that allows a person coming into your field to pick up on a frequency that allows for amplification of the magnetite in their sinus cavities that will create in their own electromagnetic field a stronger alignment with the magnetic field of the planet, and therefore a stronger connection to the consciousness of the entire world. That is another healing modality that will become a little bit more common in your planet's future. It's like allowing someone to become more of an accurate compass, pointing to magnetic north, aligning them almost instantaneously with the use of the electromagnetic fields and the magnetite within your body. So that's one example. Does that help?
Wow. Yes. Thank you.
You are welcome.
My next question is about light language, actually.
Yes.
How we might be able to use this best. I'm seeing that many of my friends are now channeling in similar, ways of for healing and for everybody's best interest. So could you please explain a little bit about the origins?
It is patterns of energy, patterns of light that can be read as a language. And sometimes just speaking it can create a particular frequency that can allow a person to match that frequency and align within themselves, within their own light beings. So it can be used in a variety of ways. But in terms of actually delivering information that most people on your planet would understand, it still needs a secondary translation for most of them to get it, along with the vibration of the light language itself. Because in a sense, we're doing that right now. You're hearing the idea of a verbal translation, but we're also manipulating the channel's electromagnetic field to create the symbols we see when we see all of you, that we read as a language, and we're giving off that energy, and a light language is being sent to all of you. So it will be absorbed in whatever way, shape, or form you choose to absorb it. But you're not necessarily hearing it as light language. It's a silent language that is being used in conjunction with a verbal translation that makes sense to your physical mind, so that your physical mind is occupied by listening to the verbal language and isn't really that aware of the fact that there's a light language bypassing it right into you. That's how we use the idea of light language. That's what we were trained to do. But different people can use it in different ways. It's up to your own imagination and what works best for you. Does that help?
Yes, very much so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one last question.
Yes.
This one is a little switching gears. I would like to know if you could explain a little bit about soul manipulation or splicing in terms...
Soul manipulation?
Well, I'll explain.
All
right. From what I understand,
yes.
We genetically, as humans, are made up of all sorts of different genetics from across the galaxies.
Well, yes, not everywhere, but a nice mix.
A nice variety. So what about our souls? Is it possible to have different species, so to speak? I don't know if that's the right word.
Souls are souls. The idea of what you're talking about occurs in physical reality. Souls are souls. Now, they can take on different characteristics, yes, but that doesn't mean they're different species. They're just capable of expressing different characteristics, since they contain, in a sense, to put it this way, all sorts of probable ways of expressing themselves through the idea of physical reality, but they themselves remain as souls. They're not really a different species. Souls are souls. You could say it's like the unfired clay, that when experiencing physical reality gets fired into the ceramic spirit that represents that particular personality. But that experience goes back into the soul, and the soul contains that experience, but nevertheless, even though it can use that to express itself in different ways, it's still the idea of malleable clay. It never loses that malleability, and therefore, from that perspective, all souls are the same, because they can all shapeshift in whatever way, shape, or form they wish to. Similarly. Does that make sense?
Is that like walk-ins and walkouts?
Well, walk-ins, again, most people on your planet have a very old-fashioned and misrepresented understanding of that. But in a sense, yes, because a walk-in is not actually a different soul. It is the same soul expressing more of itself. It may take on a different personality because the soul can express more of the being, and the physical reality in which the soul is expressing itself can then open up to express something that appears to be a very different personality. But that's just because the soul has expressed more of itself through that person. So a walk-in isn't a different soul. It's simply the same soul expressing more of itself in a different way. Does that make sense?
It does.
Does that help?
Yes, certainly. Yes, thank you. Can I know my personal vibration, please, before I leave?
At this particular moment,
Yes.
you're bouncing around between 138 and 148,000 cycles per second.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Day.
Thank you so much for this gift.
It is our passion and our pleasure.
It is mine too. This morning I woke up and the first thing I said was, I'm gonna speak with Bashar today.
And here you are.
Yes, I have like the feeling that is what's gonna happen.
Yes.
I have a few questions for you, friend. Like a few months ago, I had a dream,
Yes.
which I know was a contact. I was on a ship and my hybrid children were there.
Yes.
And then a being that looked like an insect came.
The mantis.
Yeah, and he was dressed like Elvis Presley.
Well, just for your entertainment.
Yeah, and it
That
made...
was a thought projection. The being wasn't really physically dressed. That's a thought projection that allowed the being to appear to be dressed that way.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
I thought it was, that he wasn't physically dressed like that, but
Yes.
I thought it was really funny, and it
Yes.
made me actually really comfortable with his presence.
Exactly why he did it.
Okay.
Well, excuse me. Exactly why she did it.
Oh, it's a girl,
More or less.
more or less.
As you would understand that idea. It's a little bit different for their species, but it's close enough.
Okay. Is kind of she the same I saw a few days ago dancing with light around her?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. I don't really know what to ask about her, but I've been following your advice on following your passion
All right.
as much as you can.
Yes.
And
with
no insistence in
thank
the
you.
outcome. Yes.
Many people on your planet forget that third part.
No, actually, I don't really feel like I have one passion. I basically explore
You have many expressions of passion. Yes, of
Yes.
course.
So I don't have a second plan behind my passion. I just enjoy my life.
Thank you.
And I went to a garden and I was taking pictures of the flowers, and an insect came and I was really excited about it. I started taking more pictures of this flower.
Yes.
But I had the sun on my face, so I couldn't look at the pictures on the camera. So I said, it's okay, I will look at them in the car.
Yes, and what did you find?
A mantis.
Yes.
Yes. So in that moment, when I saw the mantis, I wasn't scared. I had the same energy from my dream.
Yes.
And I knew that was the same being.
Yes.
And then I said, okay, I want to know what's going on here. I know she's here, but I don't know what to ask. It's just like, who she is.
Well, you don't necessarily have to ask anything. Just keep going the way you are. Obviously, you're doing fine.
Okay.
Because you're opening up to more encounters that will give you more information eventually. But right now, it's just a matter of learning to dance, getting used to having that kind of an encounter. And eventually, more information will accompany it.
Okay.
You'll understand the symbology a little bit more.
Okay.
What, speaking of symbology, does Elvis mean to you?
Fun. I really love his personality, like just entertainment and fun.
Is there a particular song that is your favorite?
I'm not that good with songs names, but yeah, there's one that I really like.
Which?
Don't ask me to sing. I can't.
You don't have to sing.
Love Me Tenderly, I think it is.
Well, then that's a message in and of itself, isn't it?
Yes. Wow.
And it's not just about the mantis asking you to love her. It's the mantis suggesting that you love yourself tenderly as well.
Okay.
But that's the basis of your relationship, is that love.
Okay.
All right?
That's amazing.
So go deeper into the symbols and what they mean for you when you're given those symbols. And you will have a deeper understanding of what the communication is. Because remember, telepathic communication, especially in dream time, usually comes through in symbolic form. Not always, and very rarely actually, in words.
Yeah.
But the symbols contain information.
Okay. Yeah, I think that it was interesting because I started searching on the internet, like, what does a mantis represent?
One moment. Are you strongly connected also to Hawaii?
Yes, I'm dying to go there.
Well, I hope you're not dying literally to go there. When will you go?
I was planning next year.
All right. Around what time?
Around before the summertime.
I believe you people call that spring.
Yeah.
All right.
I grew up without seasons, so it's kind of hard for me to put myself.
Oh, that's all right. Do you also recognize in the symbol you were given not only the idea of the song, but the strong connection that that individual songs also had to Hawaii?
No, I didn't.
Look it up.
Okay, I will.
All right.
Wow. I have another question.
Yes.
This happened this week, actually. So I've been having a lot of, since the last time we spoke and you told me I had hybrid children.
Yes.
Like many contacts have happened during my sleep time.
Yes.
And I've become very open to that, and the more they happen, the more I remember details.
Yes.
But last week, I kind of woke up in the middle of the night, and I knew felt that there was someone in the room.
Yes.
I got scared.
Yes.
And I told this being, like, I'm scared. I know it's my reaction. Don't go away.
All right.
Let me just stand here. And so at some point I say, okay, I don't want to admit that I'm not ready. I know I'm not. I'm not going to open my eyes because I'm going to freak out. But please don't go away. Just stay. Let me just absorb the energy. And then this being asked me, do you want me to help you with this? And I say, yes.
All right.
And then I was on my left side. Okay. So she came, I will say, to my back, and I felt like energy on kind of my neck.
Yes.
But I was kind of asleep in this point, like in between state. But then the energy was so strong that my whole body was shaking.
Yes.
Shaking, that woke me up.
Common symptom of higher frequency energy coursing through your system, yes.
Okay. So that's what it was.
Yes. Because you're not used to it. It's got some resistances within your physical structure to energy of that kind of frequency. And therefore, as that energy moves through your neurological system, it can cause your body to vibrate and shake a little bit until you get used to it and open up the conduits so that the energy can flow more freely and not meet any resistance.
Okay.
So, but you'll get used to it.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You are welcome.
I have a few more questions.
Do you?
Yes.
We'll see about that.
Okay. One is about the nature spirits. In a transmission you called Nature Social Network, you were talking about what we call fairy rings.
Yes.
And I found out that a fairy ring was growing outside of my window.
How exciting for you.
It is very exciting. The night before, I had a dream that one of my hybrid babies was in the garden working.
Yes.
And the next morning, the fairy ring was there.
Yes.
And it was growing in like three. So it was three mushrooms,
Yes.
until completing a sack.
How exciting.
So I want to ask about the energy of that.
Nope.
Okay.
Just go and experience it
Okay.
and see who comes up.
Okay.
All right?
Perfect.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Bashar.
Hello, Bashar.
And
How-
to you, good day.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Hi, Bashar. I am the curious Coco Akaluka.
Oh, all right.
And you gave me a home fun work assignment.
Yes.
And I did it.
And?
I chose to do channel automatic writing.
All right.
And I had a curious connection that I will describe to you in the way that it came to me, even though I recognize it may be symbolic.
Please do.
I received a communication from a parallel Earth version of me,
Yes.
from a version of Earth where it was a Gray's Earth, but she was a human who chose Earth and didn't do sort of like adjustments. I guess like didn't become a full Gray, or maybe she is a Gray.
There were some that remained more human.
Yes. And so she told me her name. She showed me two symbols,
Yes.
a car and T. So I call her Car T. And
How imaginative.
yeah, well, I'm very literal in that way.
All
And basically explained to me that on her Earth, they no longer could read. And so she was connecting with me because I'm a writer,
Yes.
amongst other things.
So
and
she can tap into you to learn how to read.
Yes, because she presumed that we had a different kind of intelligence available to us because of the relationship we have with words.
Well, yes, a different expression of it, yes.
Yes. And so she wanted me to finish a book I've been writing for 16 years
Oh, all right.
called The 12 Dynasties and the Unknown Worlds.
All right.
And-
And how close are you to finishing?
Closer than ever. And
How close?
months.
All right.
Months.
All right.
So I just wanted to share that since you gave me some home fun work. However, that home fun was because I was telling you about an alien dream encounter where they had put a tattoo on me that I asked them to remove.
Yes.
But the dream, like what the home fun gave me didn't seem to have to do with that. And I know that that's fine. But I was just sort of curious if I'm in a state now where I can know the name of that alien race.
You think it wasn't the Coco?
You said they were typical Andromedans,
Yes.
but not the Coco Akaluka.
Typical.
Yes.
The tattoo
Yes.
was shaped
Like
A,
words.
words,
Yes. Symbols. Sigils.
sigils.
Yes.
Can you describe them?
I can't, but I could tell you the tattoos that are currently on my wrists where that tattoo was in the dream that are words,
All right.
maybe connected. So I have a fun and curious and deep connection with Proto-Indo-European.
Yes.
And so I decided to tattoo on my left wrist our word speak, the Proto-Indo-European for speak, and the original meaning for speak, which is to speak. And on my right hand, I tattooed listen, the
Yes.
Proto-Indo-European for listen, and the original meaning for listen, which was to hear. And I chose these words because there's certain words in English, even though I consider it a fine but bastard language, that have never changed in their intent. These words have, okay.
The original meaning is not to speak. The original meaning is to spell.
Okay.
Words are spelling, casting spells.
Yes. Yes.
That's the meaning of the sigils. To spell. To learn how to use words to create and cast a spell with the reader. To engage and invite them deeper into a world they may be unfamiliar with. But knowing as they journey through it, the spells will inform them and give them the empowerment to understand how to live in the world you have woven with your words.
Yes. And I do experience that frequently through the many kinds of readings that I give and through generally the sort of philosophical guidance I give about Taoism. And I have a question in terms of these sigils and these words and my relationship.
But before you ask it,
Okay.
understand that this comes from the counterpart that is asking you to write the book.
That because they don't read.
Yes.
Okay.
So the sigils are the equivalent for them.
Okay.
Do you understand?
So yes, and so in a few different yes.
One moment. But the Coco are connected to it
Okay.
because there is facilitation going between you, the counterpart, and the Coco Akaluka. They're forming a triad there to help strengthen and stabilize the connection for all three.
Okay, and so does that mean that the sigil language of this parallel dimension was helped by the Coco Akaluka, whereas the Proto-Indo-European here is Anunnaki?
Closer to that, not exact, not precise, but closer to that.
Okay.
Good enough for now.
And so my connection with CAR-T, which is that like a complete bogus name?
Yes.
Okay, is there a better name?
Bogus would be better.
Bogus? All right.
Just kidding. One moment. I know this may open up another mystery for you,
Okay.
but a closer representation, even though you are actually close, would be Carthage.
Interesting. Like our Carthage, the place.
Yes,
Okay.
because there is something there that will tell you something about what's going on here.
Okay. Well, okay, so on that note though,
Yes.
in my readings, I've been told I have a program to communicate and that it has to do with symbols. So then Carti is here to teach me her language while I teach her mine?
In a sense, yes. You understand that in many
Carthage.
languages on your planet, the symbols that are used in their spelling do also contain vibrational codes.
Yes. Can you give me one that I should
Well,
dig in?
one of the primary examples is the Hebrew language.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that there is encoded within the different symbols that represent concepts and letters a vibrational code that can be unlocked to understand the innate structure of existence. Because every single letter in the Hebrew language is actually a shadow projection of one particular shape, changing its position to create the different letters. If you were to have a light and throw shadows on the wall, the shape being an upward spiral like a ram's horn, you would find that you can turn that one shape in certain configurations to create every single letter in the shadows of the Hebrew alphabet. And thus it actually unlocks when you speak and spell and sing the vibration of the Hebrew language, actually unlocks the codification directly into your genetics and allows for the opening of keys that have yet to be opened in your bodies that were originally part of the Anunnaki connection, but many of which have still yet to unlock within your genetic structure.
Is Gallic also one of these languages?
It's an offshoot, but not a complete one.
So would you say Hebrew is like the purest sigil?
No, it's not the purest.
Okay.
But really, if you wanted the purest, you would have to go all the way back to Atlantean. But you can find some things that are very close in Sumerian, Akkadian, things like that.
Okay. Because we don't have the Atlantean language.
No, not completely enough anyway. You have bits and pieces and fragments in other cultures.
Okay. So, great. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Next.
And that will be all for now.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Big Brother B,
And good day to you,
I'm grateful for your sharing. Thank you.
as we are grateful for yours.
So I've been connecting to the 13 a lot, 13,
Yes.
the Council of 13.
Yes.
And I had an experience in Bali where I was sitting down looking at the beach with my partner, and I had this spontaneous vision of myself, or a different version of myself, kind of
Yes.
on my knees in more of like a surrender type of pose with two painted stripes on my chest.
Yes.
And I instantly felt very emotional, and I just had a reactive cry in that moment. And
All right.
it's been part of a piecing together of what I feel I'm connecting to with the council. And before I go further into that, do you have anything?
Well, you were also connecting with, again, a simultaneously existing incarnation in that particular location in what you call the past.
Oh, in Bali.
Yes.
That's why I felt drawn
And
to go to
feeling
temples.
the innate appreciation, the depth of the connection of the indigenous people for that location, for the sky, for the land, for the sea, and the gratitude and appreciation that actually flows from them because they know that all of that flows to them.
I noticed that in the culture in Bali, it's very different than in the States.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yes.
Some friends and I are going hunting for the red crystal skull, Pele, on Hawaii.
Oh, have a good time.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. And I had this download and a meditation around the idea that you've revealed some of the locations of the skulls generally.
Yes.
And I had this idea that in that general location, the skulls may be overlapping ley lines that are within that general area. Can you confirm?
Maybe.
Is the red skull overlapping any ley lines?
It might be.
Okay, because the actual instruction that I got was to use a dowsing rod
All right.
as a permission slip.
I don't mean to be cryptic, but yes, I do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You mentioned with the crystal skulls that when you sing to them, we would sing to them in chant, and that would draw out information from the skulls.
Yes, because you create a certain frequency and the information is embedded in the skulls in those frequencies. So as you go up the scales and create different harmonics, information will be released from the skull having been embedded in those frequencies.
Yeah. And so with the red skull, is there a specific chant? 'Cause
By the way,
yes.
this is a perfect opportunity to understand the synchronicity of why different musical notes are actually called keys. They unlock things that you know not of.
I love that. So with the red skull, is there? I've also received or thought that there may be specific chants for each skull that's unique to the skull.
Of course.
And for the red, my intuition was, well, that's going to be a chant that may resonate with actually the lower chakras of our body.
The Hawaiian war chant.
The Hawaiian war chant.
Yes.
Noted.
Because it wasn't really originally a war chant.
The Hawaiian war chant.
It was the idea, as you're saying, of the power base of physical reality.
And so you also said the piecing together of ourselves, the integration of ourselves,
Yes.
will be reflected in our ability to gather the
Yes.
skulls. And so the archetype of each skull can be a great clue to say, where is this aspect of myself not being fully expressed?
It's a very powerful and very, very strong archetypal permission slip for a lot of people on your planet.
And so what is the archetypal energy of Pele?
Well, as I said, the base vibrational power of physical reality, the crucible of life into which things are melted and reformed. Yes?
Yeah.
All you have to do is understand the workings of Pele in the form you express it of a volcano. It melts things down, and when they cool off, it recrystallizes into something else. Constant transformation, constant breakdown, constant rebuilding.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
You also mentioned that the dolphins are the, quote, guardians of the master skull, which we've talked about being off the coast of Florida.
Yes, the Atlantean master skull.
Yeah. And so my understanding is that we'll find the skull when we sync up.
Damn good and ready.
When we're damn good and ready. And the dolphins will, in a sense, lead us to the skull.
They will help.
They will help. Amazing.
Yes.
My friend found a pyramid, what he believes to be a pyramid, in Marin, just in Northern California. And it's very mysterious. There's a tribe that goes there during certain solstices yearly. Is there anything you can elaborate on with that site?
No.
No. Okay.
Not my place.
Not your place. Okay. I have been inspired to make a physical representation of the trinity of Earth that you've mentioned before between us, the Sasani people, and Sirius,
Yes.
to create a physical kind of permission slip out of crystal.
By all means.
Yeah, and so I had these symbols come to me about 2 years ago, and they were very vivid in my mind, and it led to transmission of information that I've been learning from for the past 2 years.
All right.
And I wear it on my neck now, and I was wondering if you have any information around
What part of your neck?
I guess right over, a little lower than my heart, right in the center.
All right. They would also be effective on the back of your neck, since that's the channeling chakra, and thus create a direct line through to the heart.
And so from what you're picking up from the symbols, they're an assistant channeling permission slip.
They are a permission slip where you've created one door, but you haven't created the other door. It has to be able to pass through you.
I see.
Yes?
Yeah.
So by doing it here, in some way, shape, or form,
Right.
however it works for you, you will open a conduit.
Wow. And I felt that even just from wearing it. The next time I gave a transmission with a group that I'm working with, I was speaking about time, and I had this profound, what felt like unbroken channel for about 2 hour experience, and I had such rapid energy going through my body.
Yes, well, get ready if you put the symbol on the back for your head to blow off.
Okay, I'll do what I can to get ready for that.
All right.
I feel very connected to Morningstar. I remember the first time you mentioned him, I got very emotional to that connection.
Yes.
And a lot of the work that I'm doing, I feel like I'm working with him in tandem, or I don't know if it's a him or...
It is.
It is.
One of the Anuhet.
Yeah.
The seventh hybrid race.
Yeah. And I remember you mentioned that the race will represent passion, power, and peace, and that energy. I guess I just wanted to acknowledge that and see if there's anything else you could tell us about the...
It is not time.
Not the time. Okay.
But it will be.
Awesome.
Eventually.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
you.
Thank you, Bashar.
This is my second time to be in your channeling. I was in the Sedona last month.
All right.
I'm from Hong Kong. I'm a
Yes.
cosmetic surgeon, and I also do age management medicine.
Yes.
I'm U.S. citizen. For last 15 years, I work in mainland China. Last 2 years, I work in Hong Kong.
Yes.
Now, everybody knows Hong Kong happening, big tragedy. How can you see things happening in Hong Kong from your planet? And my question is, who support this protesting? And
I cannot involve myself in your political machinations on Earth.
Okay, how long it will last?
The repercussions will probably last about a decade.
A decade. A decade is 10 years
Yes.
from now?
Yes.
It's going to be like a big mess now, last for 10 years?
The repercussions. It will calm down like ripples in a pond.
Okay.
You understand? The idea of the splash, the initial splash, will dissipate within perhaps 1 to 2 to 3 years at the most. But the repercussions, the things that are connected to it, the things it will cause, will ripple out for at least a decade. Others will be affected in different ways by what has already happened. It will diminish over time, but the ripples will last about 10 years.
So what's the destination of the Hong Kong? It's going
we
to
cannot
be the
give you an
peaceful like
absolute
before?
eventually.
Okay.
But again, you're talking about needing some time, probably at least 2 to 3 decades before your world experiences the idea of global peace in every single place. Because there are a lot of things that need to be worked out, a lot of changes that have to happen.
Is China government will, I don't know how to see that, it will take over, or it will be like make a peaceful, or what is the future of the Hong Kong?
Again, you have to understand there's no such thing as an absolute future. There are many probabilities that you all haven't decided yet. So there are things you can do to make one particular kind of future more probable, and that is the sharing of information about the idea of being yourself, being your truth, following your passion in the way that we have described, and everything eventually, the more people that do that, it will lead eventually to a very prosperous and peaceful, constructive future. But that's in your hands. It's not absolute, because not everyone will decide to do that. And they will split off into another reality, a different Hong Kong on another Earth that won't necessarily be the same Hong Kong you will go to. Remember, there are already an infinite number of Earths that exist with very different realities on them. You are still, as a group, as a people, choosing which Earth you will eventually wind up on, and which Hong Kong or Los Angeles or New York you will experience. So make your choices now to start navigating in the direction of the Earth that you prefer to be on. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand. So that's what I decided from the a few months ago. I decided to go to all over the world to exploring, to learn the new technology,
Yes.
the new things, and I decided what I will do or where I will go. So I was in Switzerland and Germany to study.
And then you may take all of that back to Hong Kong, and what you have to share may make a big difference in terms of the direction and the future they experience, along with you. Everyone needs to play their part. Everyone is a seed. You water yourself, you give yourself enough light, you will grow, others will begin to see you grow, and they will want to learn how to grow like you.
Okay.
By the presence of your being. That's all you have to do to be of service and allow people to choose to change in more positive ways. Just be yourself.
Okay.
That's the biggest impact and biggest help you can possibly have. Just be yourself. And it will rub off on the people it needs to rub off on. But not everyone will choose to go down that path. And that's all right. Eventually you will not experience any other path than the one you chose, along with the people that also chose a similar path. And if you're choosing a path of beauty and peace, then that's what eventually you will experience in a Hong Kong full of people who have chosen to experience that, while on another Earth, people may have chosen something different and will experience something different. But it won't matter to you because you won't experience that world anymore. That's how it works. You never change the world you're on. You shift to a different Earth based on the change you made within yourself that is more reflective of the vibration of that version of Earth. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Well, I'm kind of confused.
Congratulations.
Since
That's good, because what you're doing is unlocking from an old way of looking at it and starting to look at it a new way. And for the moment, you might be a little co-fused with two different reality ideas. But eventually, you will figure out which one works for you. And then you will crystallize that vision and you won't be confused anymore. Right now, you're in kind of a limbo state.
Yes, and
You're shifting gears.
Yeah.
Well, when you shift gears, you have to first go through neutral. So you may not really feel like you're anchored to anything. You may be a little confused, out of your element, not sure where you stand, not sure what to do. But that's part of the process, to go through that neutral state, because you have to do that in order to unlock from one reality and lock into another, just like you have to unlock from one gear and lock into another. If you just bring the gears together without the neutral state, you'll strip the gears.
I see.
Yes. So it's all right. Enjoy your confusing vacation from one particular reality or another. it will give you the chance to really figure out what it is you prefer to do. And as soon as you really crystallize that for yourself, you'll mesh right in to the new reality. The gears will click.
Okay.
Yes?
Okay.
All right.
Another question, since I'm doing the age management medicine,
Yes.
I also do the hormone treatment and the lifestyle treatment.
All right.
So I find out some of my clients, they have tumor and the cancer.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you, what do you think of the cancer? What's the causation? What is that?
Well, first and foremost, well, it can be many reasons, and there can be positive or negative ones. But first and foremost, in general, you're talking about the idea of stress and resistance to being the true self. Because then the body is not certain who it is, and therefore it starts to become something other because the person is trying to become something they're not. Therefore, the cancer reflects the idea of them being not themselves by turning into a foreign element. You understand?
You mean the stress is
Stress, but the resistance of not being your true self.
okay.
Many people on your planet have belief systems in which they experience trying to be someone they're not. You understand? Most people on your planet are not being themselves. They're trying to be someone else. They're trying to be who other people think they should be. Do you understand? And when people try to be someone else other than who they are, they're sending a message to their body that they are not themselves. And therefore, the cells in the body become something other than themselves, become foreign and attack the body. Yes? Do you understand what we're saying?
Kind of, not exactly understand.
All right. Do you understand that you have a particular path that's true for you?
Yes.
Do you understand that many people on your planet do not walk their true path?
I understand.
So what do you think happens when someone doesn't walk their true path? What do you think happens to them? If they're not walking their true path, if they're on a path that's not for them, isn't that path going to offer a lot of struggle and pain and resistance in their lives?
Yes.
And what does that struggle and pain and resistance turn into?
It means cause the cancer.
Yes. Because they're not flowing on their path. Now, again, there are exceptions. Sometimes people can create that not because they need to learn a lesson from it, but because someone else they know in dealing with them and interacting with them may need to learn a lesson from it. So you have to take it on a person-by-person basis as to why they may have created the cancer experience. But we're talking in general. Most people that create the idea of cancer in your society is because there is resistance to the natural self, and the body picks up on that and therefore turns into something else other than them. Yes?
What is the, two of my clients, they are having the cancer now. They are having the chemotherapy and the radiation therapy. One, a good friend of mine, she had breast cancer 2 years ago.
Yes.
And after the treatment, the cancer cell disappeared. But now this year,
Yes.
2 months ago, it's moved to the lung.
The underlying reason hasn't been discovered and been dealt with. You can use many things to make it appear to go away. But if the underlying energetic vibrational reason that it started to begin with is still there, it's obviously going to come back. So the person must deal with the belief system and the real underlying reason why that person is not being their true self. Yes? You understand? They need to deal with it mentally, spiritually, energetically to find out what they believe to be true about themselves. Most of these ideas go all the way down to a very fundamental fear-based or negative belief that is most commonly expressed as, I'm not worthy. So there must be something in that person that is allowing her to believe she is not worthy to be herself. That's what has to be dealt with, as well as anything else that you might call a physical treatment. You have to deal with the source of why the body's out of alignment, which is always a belief system. It's always the energy of the belief. Yes? So the person has to deal with that as well. Otherwise, it'll just come back if they haven't dealt with it. That's enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I love you.
Our love to you as well.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm so glad you're here. I appreciate you sharing the formula with us. It's brought me many interesting things.
Well, we thank you for being willing to apply it in your life, because that's what makes the difference. We can talk all day long about all sorts of ideas and principles, but only when you apply it do you get the proof that it works. So thank you for applying it.
It's good having the information.
Yes.
When Willa was with us here previously, she talked about the ocean and that they have a process of desalinating the ocean to use for water.
Yes.
Is there any information you could share to help us learn how to use that technology?
Well, again, it's based on resonance. So they have certain devices that contain filtration systems that each vibrate at certain frequencies that allows the salt to go one way and the water to go another. A lot of these are tubular in nature, and the outer structure would appear, or the inner structure, I suppose you would call it, because there is the main inner structure, but there is an outer sheath. But the main structure is tubular, but has many openings in it. You would say perhaps that it looks like it's almost woven in a crosshatch pattern all the way along. And there are layers of this, and each layer operates at a certain frequency that distills out the salt from the water. Does that make sense to you?
Somewhat.
All right, well, obviously this technology is something that your planet hasn't invented yet. Therefore, it may take a little bit of investigation, a little bit of understanding of the difference in frequencies between salts and water, and being able to create certain kinds of containers through which the water flows that actually removes the salt because it is attracted to harmonic frequencies that are representative of its structure.
How do we figure out what the different frequencies of the salt?
By getting the different substances to resonate and measuring what those frequencies are, and then duplicating those frequencies in a device that would cause those materials to be drawn toward their harmonic frequencies and pulled out of the water.
That's awesome.
Well, yes, it works quite well.
How do I become more aware of dreaming while I'm dreaming? I don't often remember.
Well, it can work differently for many different people. You can give yourself a symbol that when you see something in the dream, it will remind you that you're actually dreaming, and you can become lucid. That works for some people. But you will have to find what works for you on your own, because everyone is different.
When I'm creating art, or sometimes when I'm dancing, I can feel something else come through me, or maybe lots of other things coming through me. Can you explain
One
that?
moment. All right, here's a suggestion that may begin to work for you as we pick up on your vibration. Tell yourself to dream about a clock. You follow me so far?
Yes.
When in the dream you see the time on the clock, tell yourself to look away and then look back. In a dream, the time on the clock will never be the same. And therefore, that might remind you that you're dreaming and help you become lucid and awake in the dream.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else?
Yeah, in times when I'm like either making art or sometimes when I'm dancing, I feel like it's not me. I feel like there's something else that's coming.
Well, it's
through
more
at
of
that
you.
time.
It's
Just
more of
me
you.
coming through.
Yes, of course. Because you're also feeling all the connections you have and identifying more strongly with those connections, which can sometimes be interpreted or translated as not being you. But nevertheless, it's just that you're experiencing more of the connections that you've made to more of yourself in different places and times and forms and so on and so forth. So it's just more of you, ultimately.
That's awesome.
Yes, it is. Anything else?
Yeah, I've always had connections with cats. They
Yes.
tend to treat me like another cat. Is
Yes.
that just my is that my expectation that they do that, or is
Well, it's your vibration. They recognize that you are giving off a familiar and similar vibration to them. Is that awesome too?
it is for sure.
I believe you have a song on your planet. Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome. Yeah.
Sounds like your theme song.
I think it is today.
All right. So, will that do?
You've said before you were expressed geometrically as opposed to mathematically. Can you explain that a little further?
Yes. Instead of using the idea of mathematical equations to express physical principles or physics principles, we have consolidated the idea down into geometric forms. For example, you have what's kind of called an exclusion principle. You can't, shall we say, in certain circumstances, measure the speed and the position simultaneously of an object, because once you measure its position, you have frozen the speed. If you measure the speed, you don't know where it is. You don't know its position. This is expressed in your physics along mathematical formulas. But from our point of view, it is perfectly expressed by the shape of a tetrahedron. You have, in a sense, a four-sided pyramid creating three equilateral triangles facing up and one as the base. You follow me?
Yes.
Well, the idea is that there are 3 points on the base, let's just say ABC or XYZ, and that represents the idea of, let's say, the physical position. But the fourth point is up here, not in the same plane as the other 3 particular notations. Therefore, it is up here, and that is the component of time, momentum, if you wish. So the idea is that you can have 2 components of space and 1 of time, but you can't have all 3 components of space and 1 of time because they're not in the same plane. So that's an exclusion principle expressed by a tetrahedron rather than a mathematical formula. Does that help?
That does help.
All right. Will that do?
Why does it feel so important to be barefoot at times?
So you can connect to the earth more directly.
Nice.
Will that do?
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Much love.
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Just want to say thank you and Daryl for sharing all the information you shared over the years.
Again, both of our passions and our pleasures.
And it's very exciting to be here. First time in LA at a live event.
Oh, all right. Me too.
I was just wondering, I have a memory when I was very young, around 5 years old.
Yes.
I thought I saw a gray. I'm not sure.
That's not uncommon. Usually starts that early.
Okay.
If you're part of the hybridization agenda.
And that's another question. Am I?
I just answered it.
Okay. And for hybrid children, do I have?
You do have some genetic material in several hybrid children, yes.
Okay. And also, I was curious, did I ever die and chose to come back?
Well, you sort of did. You got very close. Close enough, I suppose, that it counts.
Okay. And also, curious, is there any information that my higher mind can share with me?
About what?
Anything in general?
Well, in general, follow the formula.
Okay, cool.
And you will have all your answers when you need them.
Perfect. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello, Bashar.
One moment.